Present day. Present time.
It doesn't matter how many years go by, Serial Experiments Lain will always be as unique and gripping as ever. Like a fine wine, it grows better with age and rewatches. If you asked me a year ago what I valued most in a show, I would have said characters. I've always been a big fan of slower, more down-to-earth works that give you time to really get invested in the cast. But as time has passed, a new interest has come to the forefront when it comes to what I look for. The aesthetic experience. That sensation of visuals and atmosphere. The intangible taste to those special works. When a work does this well, it's like a visual symphony. It strips the surface level complexity for an even deeper point of connection. You could describe a foggy day or chilly evening in cold terminology, but will it ever capture the tone and atmosphere to it? The character of it? Maybe, after all, characters are what I value. It's just the scale has broadened a bit. Serial Experiments Lain is my aesthetic. Sure, I love new games' character designs, and I'm always down for something cutesy to make me feel alive. But when it comes to what I feel is a visual expression of my mind itself, well, I always turn to Serial Experiments Lain, with Hibine Renmei a short step behind it. I think the real reason Serial Experiments Lain is still so beloved to this day isn't purely for its story. The narrative does contain deep intrigue and thoughts worth consideration, open to a wealth of different interpretations, which is quite evident in the swath of analytical pieces discussing it, and people praise it often for its incredibly advanced presentation of the internet. But if Lain had given all this to us straight, I don't think it'd have entire dedicated cliques built around it still going to this day. No, Serial Experiments Lain takes its thematic intrigue and stows it in this perfect package. It throws you off guard to pull you into its personal pace. I think the first time round in the insane wheelhouse of Lain is best spent without asking questions during the experience of watching it itself. To embrace the bizarre is part of the fun. Lain is incredibly dedicated to crafting this specific mood and atmosphere, even if it breaks conventional logic and expected flow. It's clear Lain's not interested in being just another show, not by any stretch of the imagination. So, what is Lain? Not literally per se, but what does it represent? Lain is everything cool, everything moody, a perfect dichotomy of manic and melancholy. That's why I say I feel it captures me, and my attention. I've always been drawn to the beautifully grotesque, the humorous irony to that which is both ugly and alluring. There's something so much more interesting about it than that which is beautiful by normal standards. It feels more real, like there's a hidden story left to be told, and as a result, all the more gripping. Being drawn to, and truly loving that imperfection, that's being human, at least to me. The streetlights look down ominously, the framing either lonely or claustrophobic, an endless paranoia, mania creeping in every off-kilter expression. Yet against it is this sense of innocence, eloquently represented in the girl Lain herself. She possesses this seeming purity, cute, inquisitive, and soft-spoken, donning loose baggy clothes and childish attire. And with her is a genuine connection found in the relationship between Lain and her friend Arisa, a true sensation of care between the two that escapes the mendacity of the world around them, the violence and depravity. All this I feel from its aesthetics, all elevated by the greater experience of the show as a whole, but all it really takes is that striking imagery that has ingrained itself into my consciousness. To quit beating around the bush, I'll try my best to be more explicit, but to be frank, it's difficult to navigate the implicit vagueness to this briar patch of discussion. So let me relate to you a verbal image and try to present to you that which Lain embodies. It's a dark, cold evening. No one's around, and you're alone, waiting. Your thoughts are wandering, but focusing on nothing in particular. The moon is quite bright this evening. As you stand there, with nothing in particular to think about, your mind turns to the negative, as we are so apt to do. Doubts come at you from every angle. Where are you going? What are you even doing? Eventually, it spirals deeper and deeper. What's the point? Why bother? These thoughts are interrupted by the chills from the cold as you rub your hands and rock back and forth in a hasty attempt to regain some blood flow, your sporadic train of thought now looking for a new pathway to follow. And you finally notice how bright the moon is tonight. You notice the tickling nip of the cold at your ears, the tall leafless tree down the street, the periodic echo of cars in the distance, and suddenly you feel totally different, as the vagaries of the mind are bound to do. Suddenly you realize how cool it is to stand here alone on this cold day at night under that bright moon. And when you finally get home to warmth and comfort, an endless image has been embedded in your brain, an image of that evening. Lain is a reflection of the character to that experience. The doubt and paranoia against newfound confidence and beauty, innocence and corruption, that it engages with both sides is why I say it most accurately represents the image of my mind itself. Cutesy stuff is too perfect to be perfect, too 10 out of 10 to surpass the conception of scores. That's Serial Experiments Lain, to me at least. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe even share the video around. It helps a lot. If you'd really like to support me, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/corereviews. A very special thank you goes out to my patron Talon for his generous support. If you'd like to hear more of my voice, then you can check out my second channel, Core's Contemplations, for various ramblings on life, anime, and all sorts of things. I'll see you all in the next one.